You guys, welcome again to another episode of the Can Church Be Healthy podcast. My name is John Shirley. I'm the pastor in this scenario, and you are?
I'm Tom Page, the therapist in this scenario.
Yeah, so this is a conversation between a pastor and a therapist who are just getting curious about this experience that we call the church and the fruit that it's currently producing here in the western part of the world. Tom, hello. Good to see you today.
Hi, John. Great to be with you.
Yeah, man. Really, really good to be with you always. We just spent the last couple of minutes catching up as friends, and so we're feeling primed and ready to go, man. I'm glad to be with you.
I love being with you.
Yeah, man, me too. Hey, listen, today we are talking about a topic that I care deeply about. I'm very, very, very excited about this episode. It's going to change everyone's life.
I mean, that's hyperbole, but maybe not.
Yeah, well, truly. I mean, hopefully,
Yeah.
It has certainly changed mine. We're talking about this topic of repair today. All of us, I think it's a universal human experience to experience what we would call rupture in human relationships. Build that out for us. When we say the word rupture, from your experience, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think a rupture can be anytime you don't feel connected and safe with another person relationally. Mm-hmm. So ruptures can be very small, tiny things, like a small little paper cut. It can be a huge rupture, like a massive breach of trust, a betrayal, emotional, financial, sexual, spiritual abuse, and things like that. So a rupture is, when you think of connectedness, you are kind of interdependent, and the rupture happens and you feel that now there's a distance, and something in your mind or body will go, this doesn't feel great.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. To me, I guess what's coming up in my mind and my imagination right now, metaphorically, of course, right? This has never, ever been true of my actual personal experience.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that's a good caveat.
It's the date night moment, when you get in the car and you're all excited and you're on your way to dinner or whatever. Maybe you're sitting at dinner and then your spouse, they say the one thing, right? They step on the landmine. They did the one thing. There's just something in you just goes click, and what was a small, or a wonderful kind of relational evening just goes sideways real quick, right? And that is an example of what a rupture could be.
Totally,
right?
Yeah. Ruptures can be intended or unintended, but a lot of times they're unintended. They're misinterpretations. We have a sort of narrative or script, or what I've learned to call a core negative impression, and that just things get poked, and then all of a sudden, whoop, it kind of fills that story, and then I react to that story that's in me. So repair really comes down to we've talked about on the podcast so far, but like a relational mindfulness, which is like the we is more important than the me. But when there's a rupture and people have a hard time coming back, is because they're stuck in the me and mine, and I won't until you.
Wow.
And that it just doesn't. Where it's understandable, that's probably an adaptation that served them well at some point, maybe in childhood, but in a mutual loving relationship, that it just doesn't get me very far. It doesn't get my clients very far.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I'm really curious about this particular episode. We could literally do a season on this one topic alone. So this is gonna, we're gonna have to kind of keep it on the rails here. But
let's do it.
I thought about this tagline for this particular episode. What do we do about parents and pastors? And here's where I'm going with this. I would think that, so there's the micro ruptures, but then there's the life altering, relationship altering ruptures that happen. And I mean, they happen on the family side.
Yep.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if a great number of our listeners are aware that there are there's people on their family tree that do not talk to other people on the family tree because of something that happened somewhere along the way, right? Maybe those are in your nuclear family or extended family. But when you look at it on the church side, and I think what I feel as a pastor, so again, what do we do about pastors, parents? What do we do about family and faith? When I look back over my history as a pastor, I can see ruptures that happened with people under my leadership, because I've been in this since I was 18 years old. I'm 52 now, and I've been in it a minute. And I know today that there are people out in the wild that have had experiences with me that affected our relationship, and that affects me. It makes me sad.
Yeah.
It makes me sad, and I want repair with every living human being. I mean, that's kind of how I feel now. I feel like I'm kind of on a mission.
Gonna repair with you. Gonna repair with you.
It's just what I want, and a part of that is even in itself a relationship that I'm trying to kind of even talk to myself about. The need to have everything perfect and settled. I don't know that can always happen.
No, that's not the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But to the degree that healing can happen in relationships, I want it. I want that. And this topic, learning more about how to repair a broken relationship, as an offended person, okay, but also as someone who offends someone else. I mean, Jesus gave us very clear teaching on this in the Sermon on the Mount. He's like, hey, if you know that you've done something and someone has something against you, leave your gift at the altar. Jesus is like, leave this worship service, man, because you need to go make a repair in a relationship. Like, Jesus actually cares about this. He's like, leave your gift at the altar, go be reconciled with your brother or sister. Yeah. And, this, I don't know. There's a lot of hope in this conversation. At the same time, there's a lot of pain in this conversation because there's a lot that we can't control.
Yeah, and a lot of misunderstandings and misapplications of this passage.
Yeah. That's right. All right, so let me just can I just tell you a story about something that happened this week?
Go ahead.
Meeting that I was in this week. I can't give specifics about it. I'll just say that I was in a meeting with two leaders this week, and there had been an offense there. And one of them, actually they both, but both incredible, humble leaders. One of them showed up and he just said, hey, I just want to say that I believe I'm the chief offender here. And if I could go back and do, and he kind of referenced a couple of different moments. Mm-hmm. If I could do those moments differently, I would. I would go back and I would do those very differently. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, well, here we go.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. That's how because all of a sudden you could feel this air come in the room, like just this sense of like this Spirit of God that could come dwell among us because humility is at play. And it's like, and
when the walls go down, and it cues to other people that they can let their walls down also. Yeah. But when we wall up, other people will wall up too.
Well, that's it. I mean, then I've been in other meetings in my life where the exact opposite happened, where it was like a leader that was an offender basically blame shifted, tried to, make some excuse, minimized other people or whatever. And it just furthered the pain, So I think that this is in our discipleship. I think teaching people how to repair in relationships should be in our discipleship.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because in our churches, people are leaving churches because of ruptures in relationships. That's about as common as anything you could imagine. In fact, in our new to the network content, when people are coming into the Gathering Network, we just did a series on this not long ago. This was one of our Sunday mornings. We basically, and I think we talked about this in the story episode, or maybe that was the one that didn't get recorded and we re-recorded it.
I can't
don't know.
remember
Yeah,
now.
I don't know. Okay, but what's the story, dude? The story is this: is that when people are even coming to our church, you know, they're coming in with a story. They're coming in with something from the previous church, and our question is: are you coming in with a need for repair? Are you coming in by a rupture? You know, because that is going to come in with you. So is there pain here with you, and how can we hold that with you, help heal that, be a mediator, you know, what can happen. So anyway, a lot of skill around all this stuff, and I'm super curious about how you as a therapist lead people through the repair that needs to happen in their lives, because sometimes that repair will be available to them and other times it won't. Right. Sometimes they are needing repair with someone who's not even alive, like somebody who has gone on, right? And their heart is still affected. Sometimes they are in a relationship with a parent or a leader, someone else that hurt them, someone powerful that mattered, and they're just not willing, you know? So you and I were talking before this even started, and you said that there is what? There's 2 R's, 2 words.
Oh, there's a difference between, reconciliation and forgiveness. So so F and an R.
Sorry.
So repair and reconciliation maybe is what you're meaning.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I was listening, I promise. Riveted.
That's another R word. Yeah. So this comes from Michael Dye. He's a therapist and has created this group workbook called the Genesis Process, and it's pretty good. But I think it's where I learned this. In there, he talks about the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. And forgiveness requires really only the person who's been offended to do some work so that they can be free. And then reconciliation very much does require work from the offending party to do some stuff. And this gets complicated because there's a lot of things that are involved in people being able to get to a point of one being willing to do repair. And the first caveat I'll have, I guess, is let's say this is a mutual relationship and it is emotionally safe enough to engage.
There you go.
So that's the bottom line here, because there's a whole another category and
Yes.
circumstances if that's not the case.
Oh, yes.
And so if this is a mutual relationship and it's generally emotionally safe to engage, and if someone has been offended, there's a certain way that people tend to go about this. And this is, I've drank the Terry real Kool-Aid, and this is some of his skills. He says that people tend to go through what he calls a specific trend and then character. And so one person, let's say, is a hurt party, and they'll say, you forgot the trash today, specific. And then they'll go to trend. You always forget the trash. Now it's starting to heap on this person. And then they'll go to character, and you're selfish, and you're a no good SOB, and you're just like your father. And then this thing goes off the rails big time. And so if you're someone wanting to bring an attempt at repair, it's really important to check your relational mindfulness. What are you wanting? Are you wanting retribution? Are you wanting to be right? Are you wanting to get back to a place of peace? That's the first check. And what headspace am I in? And before I move into this. And if you're not in a relational mindfulness place, meaning I'm prioritizing the ecosystem of this relationship, I'm cherishing it. I'm going to choose to cherish it, to not see you as worse or better than me, but you're on the same level as me. I'm going to do my best to approach this with love and honesty. If you're in that place, you have a good shot of using your skills. And the skills really are about being very specific, going, this thing happened and this was the impact on me. In the future, would you please? Like, that's very clear. Most people don't argue behavior, but when we start lobbing our projections, our interpretations, like, people wall up so fast. The interesting thing is, though, if you're hearing this from a friend, a partner, a coworker, they have a specific complaint. If you, the one who in this potentially the offending party, if you walk specific trend character, it actually helps soften the other person, because it's all the stuff that's in them that they want to say, but they're trying not to.
Build that out, like put some flesh on that, or some scenario on that, like
yeah. So let's say, well, I'll kind of make this up because the trash analogy I use a lot. So in our home, it's my job to take out the trash. And let's say I forgot one, and Blakely came to me and said, "Hey, you forgot the trash. And I need you to get on this." Now, if she just did something simple like that, that's actually pretty good. For me to go like, just say yes to the thing, own whatever it is. So for specific, I go, yes, I forgot the trash. No hemming or hawing or, well, it was late and I did this thing and the kids were doing this. And no, none of that. Straight to the point. If you can say yes to it, you say yes to it. So that's specific. Yes, I did do that thing. And then moving into trend, if I were going to be humble, I would say, if it were true, I wouldn't make this up, but if it were true, I go, I've kind of forgotten this before, and I can see where it's kind of like a hassle for the family. Like it creates a mess, and then boxes are piled up and all of this stuff. I see that, and then go to character. I go, I think I need to think about this. This is really kind of about me and me not prioritizing the family, and I kind of just do my own thing sometimes. I'm gonna work on that, and I'm really sorry. So it's like, if you can use this skill and walk it through specific trend character from the part of the person who's done the offending, whether you intended to or not, it just tends to go pretty well as an apology.
Well, not only that, man. I'm trying to imagine. First of all, people don't, they probably don't know you if they're listening to this, and they don't know that actual scenario has probably happened in your household, and you've probably thought that you're probably telling the truth about yourself right now.
I don't know that we've used that specific thing, but I have definitely forgotten the trash before.
Right.
And have definitely not repaired well.
Sure. Yeah. But then there have also been times where you have repaired well, which is what I'm trying to say. You've grown and you've actually done these things where you've like, hey, that specific thing, this repetitive pattern, and my character, like you've run through those things and owned whatever offense it was on all three of those levels. I probably, if you gave me enough time, I could probably remember elder meetings where you did the very similar thing.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's who you are. Here's my point. That makes you a near unicorn, bro. In the world of men, that makes you literally a near unicorn. The reason why I think this matters is because I think that's what Jesus is trying to do with his disciples in the world. And can you imagine? This is the reason why this whole podcast exists. Can we just dream for a second about churches that are raising up through discipleship this skill so that we have churches of unicorns, like churches of this type of very special, very unique, very Christ-like, very humble behavior in our cities. A literal church like that could quite literally change the tone of the relational spheres that everyone is in. I mean, that's a felt difference when people start showing up, owning the specifics, their patterns, and their character.
It creates safety.
Yes.
Because like in my own marriage, like Blakely and I we've repaired lots of stuff at this point, big to small. But like when you have a consistent pattern and the skills to repair, what it does, I think, like in your brains, in your nervous systems, it creates a sense of safety that says, even if we rupture, we'll come back, we'll be okay.
Well, that's the attachment thing.
It's attachment, yeah.
That's the attachment thing. Like even when we were learning about attachment, like one of the things that like every kid needs is a parent that repairs.
Yeah.
Right? That's
one of the even though there's a rupture, we'll be okay. We'll come back. We'll get through it. You won't be isolated. You won't be on your own.
Because even in the attachment framework, it's not that you try to avoid every rupture. It's that when they happen.
Oh, it's unavoidable.
And they do happen, right?
Of course,
yeah. So when the rupture happens, which is why I think that this must be a discipleship skill, because it's saying, hey, when these ruptures happen, we have a way.
Yeah.
We have a way to come together again, you know,
it's
and
super important
to preserve the attachment.
And there's lots of different kinds of skills that go along with repair. So to me, the number one, like I said, is relational mindfulness. Like if you're feeling like you want to bring a problem or an issue to a friend, a partner, a loved one, a coworker, and you're like, I'm gonna tell this person. It's like the number one thing is to pause and go, what headspace are you in?
Mm-hmm.
Are you in an us, you and me?
A relational
state of mind. If not, pause and wait.
Mm-hmm.
Calm yourself down, go get help, talk to someone, talk it through before you do that. The skills for the person who's bringing the complaint, it really needs to be specific, short, with some kind of communication that I'm for you, this thing happened, this is how it affected me, and you let it go. Oftentimes what will happen is we'll be passive aggressive, we won't be clear, we won't be loving, and we're beating around the bush, or we come hard and we vent. Mm-hmm. And venting is not helpful. Terry Real will out us therapists and say this whole just share your feelings has been enabled by the therapeutic community as a good thing, and it's not. Skillful sharing is helpful. Yeah. But when we just unload, well, here's everything and just vomit on someone, who can sit through that without just completely checking out or getting defensive or fighting back?
Yeah, right.
So if you are someone who's trying to make an attempt, it needs to be short, clear, specific, and then you let go of the outcome. Yeah. And if you're the person receiving, being able to express an understanding of what the offense was, own absolutely anything you can possibly own without hemming and hawing. You just go, yes, I did that. Yep. And then 3, express some kind of understanding or empathy for the impact. Yeah, that's right. This is really important because if we don't hit the impact, it's like, so when this happened, this is how it felt.
Yeah, I just note on that. Like, I think, you know. Hey everybody, I want to take just a second very quickly to let you know about a couple of things that Tom is doing. First of all, every Monday, Tom sends out an email that he calls Transformation Tips to everybody that has signed up for this email. And I've got to tell you, it is full of wisdom and practical advice on how to experience greater transformation in your life. And, you know, like me, you guys are experiencing Tom's wisdom week after week here on this podcast. And so I would just suggest that you go to pagecounseling.com/tips, pagecounseling.com/tips to get on that email list. And then secondly, if you would like to work with Tom as a client and you are in the Kansas City metro area, go to pagecounseling.com and simply let Tom know that you would like to work with him and get in that pipeline with him. If you'd like to work with Tom virtually, you can do so if you live in the state of Kansas. Also, you can go to pagecounseling.com to learn more about how to work with Tom virtually. But you guys, that's what I have for you. And I just suggest that you guys get in there and get as much of Tom's wisdom as you possibly can. What a gift he is to us. You know, the difference between intent and impact, right? Oh, yeah. I live in a world of like leaders, like apostolic, leaders that are strategizing and trying to build. You know, it's kind of like everybody's skating for the puck. And we bump into each other and check each other. You know, it's like, dude, aren't we just trying to build the kingdom of God here? Like, isn't that what we're trying to do? But everybody's like bringing their whole self to it. And there's just very, very, very few. I'll just, here in Kansas City, there's very, very few leaders in the city that have just terrible, rogue, manipulative intent in their heart.
Oh, yeah. People that want to care for people and help. And intent's really good.
Yeah. And they have dreams and they have visions, they have passion. And then sometimes our flesh gets involved, And then when we just start going for the thing to build the thing that's in our heart, well, we do it with a beautiful, Christ-centered intent. But sometimes, when the flesh gets involved, or our personality, rubs somebody the wrong way, or sometimes just conveying the vision, sometimes just the way it comes through, it just doesn't land, or it doesn't work, or actually in the effort to kind of build or scale the kingdom of God, people get hurt, which is kind of a random weird thing. And the impact matters more than the intent, and because impact is what people feel. The impact is what they remember. That's the felt experience.
It's what they carry with them.
It's what they carry with them is the impact. And so I care about this because I know that even today, there are people who are listening to this episode who are like, man, I was impacted by a leader. I was impacted by somebody in the church. I wasn't like abused necessarily. I mean, there's clearly people that probably were, but they're like, I just got the weird side of a leader somewhere along the way, and it really hurt. Like I experienced a leader in a way that nobody else really seemed to experience that person. Everybody else thought that they were, I don't know, Superman, and I experienced them very, very differently. That is a very common experience. And there are many, many, many people who are lost and floundering in the world, not connected to a church, because they're like, if that's what it is, I can't engage.
Yeah, then no thank you.
No thank you. Yeah. No thank you, And I just think that this whole notion of learning, being leaders that are willing to repair with people when our intent didn't match our impact.
Yes.
I think I'm just aware, because I'm a passionate, visionary type leader, that I am impacting people. I am impacting people. I am. And a lot of times that's just raw passion. That's not something that I can really apologize for. I am a passionate person. The only thing that I have to be careful of is that my passion doesn't hurt,
Right.
Doesn't hurt folks out there. And it's just something that I think that I'm becoming more aware of. I don't know. Can I tell just another quick story? Real quick?
Of course.
Okay, yeah. A lot of people listening to this probably won't remember a man named W.A. Criswell, but he was a pastor at First Baptist Dallas. Legendary pastor, great friends with Billy Graham, and built First Baptist Dallas, to huge, church. I forget, probably through the, 60s and 70s and 80s. And there's this story about a couple that he married. And in his young self, younger years of ministry, that experience, for whatever reason, hurt them. Like being with him hurt them. Something about his passion or something he said, I don't remember that part of it. They caught up with him at some banquet. I'm butchering this story, but somehow they had another encounter with him years after the fact, decades after the fact. They were still married. And they had the wherewithal to say to this legend, I think very kindly, they said, we just want you to know that at our wedding, the way that we experienced you hurt us deeply. And now he was in his older years. I don't know how old he was eventually. I'm in my mind, I see him like in his 80s. And he just heard it and just wept with him.
Yeah.
He just cried. And just, was the sorry for my young ambition. I'm sorry for my young self. I'm sorry that I hurt you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you've carried that now for these 20 or 30 years or however long. And it was just the moment, you know, they're like, man, if I could have just gone back and done that differently, I would have done that differently, you know. And I can think of so many of my friends, colleagues, you know, peers who are probably in a similar place, like in their younger years. Man, they're just railroaded folks. And it's not excuse. It's not excusable. That's not who we want to be. But I know that in my own life, even if there's just a moment where it's like, I just missed somebody.
Yeah.
I just missed them. I just want our people to know, the people that are listening to this, I'm one pastor, I'm sure I'm one of many, who is just like, if I could have that one back.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Yeah,
I would
of
do
course.
that differently.
Can I share like a tidbit of?
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in a position where there's someone who's in a position of power, and you're wondering, you know, do I
go to them?
go to them?
Yeah.
Whether that's like a patriarch, a matriarch of your family, it's a person in your community, a faith leader, boss, whatever.
Frightening place to be, man.
Yeah, it can be.
Very anxious and frightening place to be,
What
potentially.
I tend to coach my clients is when they go, for me to have healing, do I have to go to them? I go, no.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely not. However, if in your own soul searching, you feel you would like to, that there's some part of you that needs you to stand up for yourself and try to approach this in a way that you feel good about so that you can hear your own voice standing up to a thing of power, then the kind of general guidance, this is not a rule, but a guidance is, do you have the capacity to risk?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the capacity within you to risk? And if it goes sideways, that you'll be okay, you have support, it's not going to completely tank you.
Yeah.
And sometimes people go, let me wait and see. They go, yes, I think I can do that. I'm willing to risk. And so they're going in humble. They're going in releasing the outcome. They're doing it because it matters to them, not to get some kind of result out of it. So for that couple, my imagination, if I were to make it up, they'd say, regardless of how this man responds to us, for our own hearts and minds, we need to be able to hear ourselves say, when this happened, it hurt us, and then completely let it go. And the hope is that that's going to yield, yes, a reconciliation or a sweet moment of some kind, but it's not always guaranteed. And so it's like, one, do you need it for yourself? Two, do you have the capacity to risk? If you don't need it, fine. And if you don't have the capacity to risk, totally fine. But if you go in with an intention to get something, that's...
Yeah.
I typically slow people down and go, let's talk through this
Super good, man.
a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that I've been on the receiving end of that, you know, before.
In what way?
Well, both of those, you know. I think both of those.
Like when it's done well, or they're trying to get something.
Oh
out of
yeah.
okay, I see.
They're and I think that what makes that hard and complicated is that the one is felt very differently. You know, like if someone comes to me and they're like, "Hey, this again back to specifics, you know, this specific thing happened," then you know I can talk about that specific thing with them. But if they're needing something from me, that's another felt experience, and that's not as clear, you know. Yeah. And I think now, as I've got a few years under my belt, I think I can maybe read it and I can say, hey, I feel like there's something here
That's a relational skill, yeah.
that you need from me. Can you tell me what that is? You know?
Yep.
I'm telling myself a story right now that you need a specific thing, you know? Are you aware of that? You know, is that something that
That's a pro move.
that you can kind of dial into?
Yeah.
You know? But, you know, I think that's a good day, you know?
Of course.
A bad day is where I feel it happening, you know, to me, and it just feels like there's a weird energy in it. And again, it's that impact, you know? it's, again, we're talking about intent and impact. And so there are times where I'm like, oh man, I feel like you're coming and I'm feeling a certain impact, and it makes me not want to come toward you, but sort of like,
self-protect.
kind of like back up a little bit, So I just think I think that's really wise, man. I really want to chat with you again here about because this matters and it keeps coming up, but we do live. And again, at the top of the podcast, we said we're thinking about the fruit that's currently being produced in the church here in the western part of the world. And here in the western part of the world, we have a love-hate relationship with narcissistic styles of leadership, right?
Gosh.
And so we love it on a good day, when they're building and scaling and winning. But in this place, where you've been railroaded by a narcissist, and the word is Matthew 18, go in private. You've been really hurt, really abused by this person. Now go to them in private.
That's that other conversation
that
I
would
was
be
referencing.
that's a
earlier.
whole other episode, or maybe even a whole other season all itself. So there's this shadow side to this actual personality type, this actual leadership personality type that is thriving in our part of the world, that when you have been hurt there and you are an actual victim, what would you, so again, we can't go all in, all the way in on this,
right?
You have something from the top deck, like something from like the high view, the bleacher seats.
This is like what I call a doorknob doozy. When clients, we try to land the plane of the session, and they're like, by the way, on the way out the door, and I'm like, oh, and then they're like, they're gone.
Oh, hey, having an affair.
By the way, how would you stand up to someone who's been really abusive and traumatic for you in a community? Okay, so
sorry, man, I gotta laugh about that a little bit.
Don't know if this will suffice. You want to take a shot at it first?
Well, I mean, okay, so in the IHOP, International House of Prayer stuff, the stuff that was going down here in Kansas City, really, really critical, explosions of inappropriate behavior going on over there. And I heard Alan Hood. And I heard Alan Hood say on a separate video, he was a church father there in the IHOP world. I heard him say that we've gotten Matthew 18 wrong, when we're thinking about actual victims. That there was this collection of people that were like, tell these people that have this gripe to go back to the abuser and confront him.
Yeah, no.
And he's like, that's not what we would suggest. Because again, the hope is that you would go and get repair in a place where repair would be safe, a safe environment to get it.
Right.
It might not be a fair question, man, because it is big. But
can I read this quote that I wrote down?
Sure.
This is from Brene Brown. This is her Daring Greatly book, I think. It kind of speaks to this a little bit, which is why in that scenario we would say that that's probably out of bounds. So vulnerability is based on mutuality and requires boundaries and trust. It's not oversharing, it's not purging, it's not indiscriminate disclosure, and it's not a celebrity-style social media information dump. Vulnerability is about sharing our feelings and our experiences with people who have earned the right to hear them. And in these scenarios where there's a very narcissistic or abusive type of leader, it is very ill-informed to have a victim go, because they've not earned any of that.
Yeah, right.
Now, on a long burn of reconciliation, it may get to a point where the victims are protected, they are comforted, they are cared for, they are given resources. The person who's done the harm has maybe ideally been given resources, help, been contained in that crisis or damage. They've been given a season. And then, this is kind of a 12-step principle, but like when an offender is at a point in their own healing journey of making amends, they only make amends unless that making of amends would cause more pain. And so there may come a time where the offending person may approach someone who was victimized But it's given as an ask. It's given as a, if you would want to sometime, I would like to own what I have done. And the person is protected by that.
Yeah.
And so they're saying, I just can't. It's a no for me. And that is fine.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I had another thought, but I can't find it. But
yeah, well, that was enough, man. So
cool.
that was why I asked.
Yeah.
You know, was because I feel like that's an important caveat. You know,
it is. It's super important
in this conversation.
Yeah, no, victims need protection. They need care, and they need to be like have people around them that can advocate for them, and where they can have power in whatever their disempowered state is. And so if you take a person who's disempowered and you just go, we'll go have power, and that is the most condescending, misguided kind of thing. So it's like in relationships. So if I had someone in my office, let's say there's an active abusive relationship, I am not going to have the abused partner open up with vulnerability if it's going to be used against him or her.
Right.
No way. Not until there's a power shift and I can sense what Brene Brown's talking about: boundaries, mutuality, trust. And trust is not binary. It's not on or off. And that's often when there's been a rupture of any kind, micro to macro, well, I can't trust that person. And most therapists that are working healing try to bring people more into the gray of going, what are your values? What are your boundaries? And what can you trust in this relationship if it's one you want to keep around? And can, like, if your husband has betrayed you in some way, financially, emotionally, sexually, can you trust him to take the kids to school? Well, yeah. Can you trust him to pick up groceries? Yes. And so you can trust him, but it is reasonable for you to not trust him in some areas, to have, go off with coworkers and have, a work date or something. You're not going to trust him to do that anymore. Of course not. And so coaching in nuance so that people can have a chance to rebuild versus oftentimes people who've been victimized feel bananas, like insane, trying to make sense of how do I move forward at all, because it feels like I cannot trust you at all, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Well, let's just stop there, man, and hold some space.
Okay, sounds good. Please.
Yeah. Today in this section, and this holding space section that we do, I think I've been carrying this all day long, knowing that we would record this episode today. So my heart is just kind of stirred today for anybody who may be listening to this, who just by listening to it, your soul is just activated. I want to give just a moment to just hold that part of you with you. So I don't know if you're in a place where you can just get grounded and still. If you're open, turn your hands over on your lap, or if you need to, just kind of palms down on top of your thighs, just as a sense of kind of feeling steady and grounded in this moment. Mostly, I just want to pray for you today. I just want to pray that the Holy Spirit, the counselor, would come and tend to you, be with you, and comfort you today. I just want to believe today that the story's not over. I want to believe today that as it relates to you and what it is that your heart needs, that your heart can find what it needs, and if not with the actual person, actually in the experience of being reparented by God Himself as a good and kind and caring Father. Lord, I just pray today that in mercy, I pray for your mercy today to literally cover the hearts of the friends of ours that are listening to this episode today. There's so much profound and legitimate pain in the body of Christ, and I just ask you today, you're the one that sees every heart. I know today, God, that you see every heart, you hear every story, you know the nuance of all of these moments that have hurt, that have impacted us deeply, and we just ask today for your mercy and wisdom. Would you come in? Would you come into the storylines of our lives as a healer and bring repair, forgiveness, reconciliation? Give us as your people the skills we need to heal. Give us the skills we need to heal today. For the ones who are hearing us today who are undone, we hold them now. The ones who, have been weeping through this episode, we hold them in the tender embrace of God just for a few moments and bear it with them. And say, "Come, Lord Jesus, come." You guys, thank you so much for dropping in today. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us at gatheringnetwork.org/healthychurchpodcast. It always means so much if you will rate and review the podcast any place where you happen to stream. Credits for today's episode are podcast writers are myself, John Shirley, and Tom Page. Sound design and editing, John Shirley. Show intro music, Light Up the Night by Brasco. Advertisement _track, Well Enough Alone by Reveal. Holding Space _track, Threads by Acreage. And all of these have been licensed through Soundstripe. Once again, we thank you so much for giving us your time today. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.